Concept 50, which 2 or 3 years ago, Michael and I sort of sat down and, you know, our chairman and CEO had given us a carte blanche to generate something new, a new sort of brand statement and a declaration of sort of what we could do as a brand. And Michael and I wanted to sort of create what we sort of felt was the ultimate loudspeaker. Michael and I have been involved for a long time, 20 years or so. So it was important to us that we actually make this a product that looks forward and actually sort of set a stake in the ground. So yeah, we came up with this configuration. We sat down and talked about how exactly we would like to create the speaker. And so the sort of unique identity you see in front of you today is born of that. We wanted to use force cancelled bass drivers, and Michael will talk a little bit about that, and also work to evolve the work we did with Hyphn series, new Synergy series, which we launched last month on AMT tweeters. So Michael will talk a little bit concept. We have the 3 prototypes on display today, the green one in the corner. So we have 2 white ones. The green one is birthday colour for us as well. So we have the special edition, limited edition silver series in green as well to match, which is another product that we're just doing for our 50th birthday. We've got 999 pairs of those that are going on sale in September. This is just a concept for now, but we are taking this into production reality this year. So it's a very evolved concept. There are a few sort of tweaks and improvements that we'll make over the next sort of 6 months or so. We're going to sort of publish those as we go along, I think. Keep that on the website. We have a blog, so we take you on a little bit of a journey as we go to production towards the end of this year, and we'll start making this in the factory in Raleigh in the UK sometime in the winter. All right, I'll pass it to Michael.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we've got 4 stories that we want to talk to you today about. There's a lot of other stories in this speaker, but we're going to be trickling some of those out as we move towards production and talking about some of those items. But the 4 key ones we want to talk to you today. The first one is the MPD tweeter. So we're on the 3rd generation of MPD tweeting now. 1st generation was in Platinum 2G, 2nd generation was in Synergy, which we launched a few months ago, Synergy system. And now we're on the 3rd. This tweeter is completely whole new. So in order to, we want to make this tweeter smoother, flatter, with a new wave guide on it, and a number of others. But in order to create what's called the array, which is my second point, we needed to make it much more compact. So this tweeter now has shrunk probably by about 50% of its front surface area, not the actual diaphragm, but all of the other elements around it that make it work. And a lot of that's been pushed to the field, fundamentally, because you have less jigging space. But we've overcome a lot of those challenges, and that enabled us to then think about how we can do a new dual concentric drive unit in a new way, which we're calling the array. And so the array is 6 mid-range drivers, which are actually full-range drive units, surrounding one MPD tweeter. And you can see it on the one at the back in much clearer detail. The light just doesn't quite pass through this screw in the same way. So do take time to have a little look at the one at the back there and see the drive units. Each mid-range driver is a flat cone, and that means that it has a flat baffle for the tweeter. So the tweeter's wave guide comes off the front baffle across the mid-range drivers, and obviously we've got this very contoured, smooth front baffle for the tweeter in the mid-range. So the mid-range drivers will run from, they'll work down to about 150 Hz, and they'll go up past 10 kHz with no problem at all. So they're really nice and wide bandwidth, and that happens because they're small. So in terms of getting up there, small cone works really well. In terms of going down, you need the surface area, so we have 6 of them. The 6 have more surface area than a platinum mid-range driver. So we're not compromising on output capability in order to do this dual concentric array. They're all in parallel, and they have a single volume behind them, which you'll see if you look around from the back on the other unit. And they also have the same acoustic centre. So the whole speaker has a single acoustic centre, all aligned on the tweeter. They're also pretty well time aligned because of the flat nature of the surface and the position of the tweeter. So we have no time problems that cross over the tweeter and the range driver. So then the third point I want to talk about is the force cancelled bass drivers. So in the middle here, there are a pair
two pairs of bass drivers, and they are just modules. So they're actually built outside, before they get in the cabinet, they're built as a module. Two bass drivers, one on either side, with the aluminium brackets, and they're all wired round to a single terminal. So that's a complete module. But it's also structural. So it's actually the frame for the loudspeaker. So those modules sit in the centre of the loudspeaker, and there's a bolt, a single bolt-free technology, on either side that actually hold the whole cabinet together. So the only thing that's attached to sides are those bass drivers using their internal structure. So a little bit like a high-performance sports car. You don't have a chassis on the back of the car nowadays. You use the engine as your chassis. It's that type of idea. So this floats and can come off. It's not structural. For the force cancelled bass drivers, we're cancelling momentum. So the two drive units go in. Momentum's cancelled, so there's no vibration coming off those modules. We still have to deal with the air pressure inside the box because that's not cancelled. Obviously, you can't cancel the air pressure inside the box because it's the box. So we still need a good cabinet, and that brings us on to the fourth point, which Charles will talk about, the cabinet.
Yeah, so I run the industrial design team, so everything mechanical is sort of my sphere of interest. So with Concept 50, we really wanted to step up what we do in loudspeaker cabinets. We've been pretty innovative with what we do with laminated MDF and veneers. We're always, we're pretty well established at that. But for this, we wanted to work with a new material. So we've worked with what we're calling a solid surface material manufacturer to work with and this material is actually an acrylic with a very, very high mineral content, and then it's also pigmented, so that's the actual colour of the material, the one you can see in front. That we will, when we come to production, offer a painted option, so that the green unit is actually a custom paint job, but the actual raw material is this, it's pigmented, and it's got the density of stone, so it is like a rock, which puts the weight up to nearly 100 kilograms, so it makes an incredibly rigid cabinet. But when the material is formed, we thermoform it under a high temperature, bond it together, and that creates this sort of skeleton structure, and we can make all of the elements of the cabinet part of the structure. So the port tube, for instance, that is moulded into the cabinet as part of that thermoforming process, which actually forms part of the structure of the cabinet as well. It makes it much more rigid, and utilises the component twice, if you see what I mean. We don't stick a port tube in as an optional extra, and it doesn't add anything other than what we need to do it